I'm Susan Rickheimer, host of Boss of Me. Who says divine feminine energy has no place in successful entrepreneurship? And honestly, who cares? Here I share the stories of women who have inspired me with their bold, messy, and unapologetic conviction, straight from their own voices. Every once in a while, you find someone who holds a mirror to you that reflects the limitless potential within and elevates your hope in the world. She brings out your passion, holds it close in the space she mutually admires you from, introduces you to her family, and then becomes yours. Please welcome Annie G. Davis to the Boss of Me podcast.
Thank you so much for having me as a guest on your incredible podcast. You have been such a light in my life. I love our cosmic connection. What inspired me to initiate a journey that I am forever committed to was really the process of my life crumbling as I knew it at that time. Now I understand that the quantum crumble is essential before the quantum leap. And I have so much more respect for that. I've met some other trials that we might get into in this podcast because of this initiation I'm going to share. I was just looking to better my physical health when this opportunity first crossed my path of what I do now in the high ticket direct sales world as a business coach, guide, mentor. I always was itchy outside of my skin, even for just a different experience in life. I have been in the restaurant industry for over 20 years, and I found it was a really wonderful place for me to be in service and to shine my light and to connect with people, but it wasn't necessarily in complete alignment with who I am and not necessarily like how I want to see the world, but more so as I became a mom, I realized the kind of world that I want to not only raise my kids in, but provide for them to flourish in and discover who they are within. So motherhood is such an activation for me in the most intense ways. This opportunity crossed my path at a time when I was looking for the water. I was also in the heat of a relationship completely dissolving with my daughter's father. I was basically becoming a single mom, just to put it straight out there. This woman approached me and was telling me about this business opportunity. I was like, you don't understand. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I was sharing all the reasons, which I now know are exactly why I needed this. You know, the space between where you are and where you want to be can look so muddied if you are fighting for your limitations. It's something that's been coming up for me right now. Are we constantly promoting the struggles and the hardships of our life? Or are we fighting for that life that we want? Are we stepping into being that person we need to be in order to receive that dream outcome that we'd like to have? I'm so thankful for this woman because she saw me in a place that I was just so deep in the work and in the contrast of my life that I couldn't see it from myself. I really love the way this business model is set up. And that's why I value mentorship and podcasts like this that trigger something in you that you're like, I remember. You wouldn't even have those words, but you would just have that feeling of I am made for something, not necessarily more, but just different. For me, it was different. I left my daughter. She's 2 years old at the time. You know, every night was just a struggle to leave her because we would spend these dreamy days at the beach together. It was me getting her ready to spend time with my mother-in-law at the time, her grandma, and really sweet, wonderful woman. I'm super thankful for the support. I couldn't have raised her in those early years without her. But I would try to sneak out the back door and she would catch me, run towards the sliding glass door, bang on it and scream and cry. I would go to work in tears. I was working with a low ticket MLM at the time where the woman was trying to activate me and she would be like, record that moment, feel into how painful that is for you. Cause I literally to work, crying my eyes out, just there's gotta be a better way. I can't do this anymore. This is so hard on me. It's so hard on her. I know in my heart of hearts we're supposed to be together. And that was really painful to work around and watch because I didn't have a solution. But it took me at work one night, kept my phone in my apron pocket. I remember exactly where I was standing. We all waited for our drinks at the well. I was waiting tables at this oceanside restaurant. I'd worked specifically there for over 10 years. It was just like clockwork. I could do that job with my eyes closed. I knew the regulars. Like it was just so rinse and repeat for me. It was comfortable and easy. But I got this phone call that I had been getting for the last week. I don't want anything to do with what you're pitching me. I'm a dehydrated mom.
Yeah.
I want good water. I looked at my phone and it was my bank, who I thought was a telemarketer, calling me to offer me a personal loan. This is the power of community and reflection right here. This is the power of sisterhood. This is the power of hopefully something that you receive on this podcast. I held it up to my girlfriend, who was like my sister, and she had heard all of my struggles of, I know I'm about to become a single mom. I don't know how I'm going to provide for her and be present at the same time. I want something different in my life. I want to be with her. I'm tired of leaving her at night and going to serve Mai Tais. As beautiful as this is, I've outgrown this. But now I'm like, I want to be a mom and I want to live really fully with her in this beautiful place I get to call home. And she was like, maybe that's exactly what you've been calling in. I couldn't see it. That's the best part. The company of people like you do this for me all the time that hold space and see us in our highest heart. And they could just give us that reflection in such a loving way that we're actually open to receive it. And I was like, other people probably would have told me that. I would be like, you don't even understand my situation. Like, I can't go talk to a bank about a loan. But I heard her and I was just like, okay. So I went into my bank and it inspired me. That place was so scary for me, but I knew that if I wanted something different, I have to do something completely different. So the scary feelings I started to recognize as the good feeling because they were not necessarily scary. They're completely unfamiliar. So becoming a single mom through this process has completely ignited my passion to continue on this path of entrepreneurship. 6 figures in my first year because I knew in a direct sales model, you don't necessarily need to lead a team. I did a lot of direct selling and you make really good money in this business. But now I realize the impact we can have to bring parents in presence with not only their children, but with themselves. I was a single mom that was starting to make more money in a single transaction that I would in like 2, 3, 4 weeks spending time away from her. But now I was able to have an overflow of my cup where I was starting to pour back into me. I was in a relationship that drained me for years. And when I became a mom, that compound effect leaped, quantumed. It compounded in such a way that I was like, this is a do or die moment. Unfortunately, sometimes that's where you have to go to make big change. But I hope someone hears this message today and realize you don't have to get to the bottom of the barrel. It doesn't have to burn all the way to the ground for you to decide that you want something new and you're worthy of it.
The next question actually is, what role has intuition played in your journey as an entrepreneur? And you answered that, where it's not listening to the stories that, are nagging or that we're hearing in our heads that have been imprinted and that we always went back without realizing that was the discomfort. Because then there's the nagging of intuition. I'm right here. If you trust me, I'll lead you. And it's not going to look the way that you think it's going to. It's going to be better, but you have to trust. So it's letting go at some point in our lives. This is why I think it's so beautiful as women, because we've listened to these stories and we've forgotten who we are. When we can come back to the intuition and realize that's really where the guidance that is aligned is coming from. What has been the biggest challenge you faced since you've started this business? And talk a little more about the water and why that is so relevant to this picture.
I love that because it is really relevant. I run this business very business forward, very lifestyle forward. I do talk about the product, but ultimately I'm showcasing the result of wanting this product. It's a streamlined analogy of filling your own cup. And the water specifically played a role on a physical cellular level for me. I'm in full reverence for being depleted. This is the most basic element that we're all comprised of. It makes sense that sometimes people want this for the water and they fill their cup and start to activate a level of safety within their own bodies because their nervous system is starting to settle and they're like, wait a minute. It's just like a whole world opens up. And what a gift it is to remember who we are and to remember that our internal compass is a gift from God, higher source, universe, whatever you want to call it, that will guide us if we give ourselves space to receive those messages. And that's, as a single mom, a space that I was not in. It was fight or flight. It was like do or die. It's trying to put food on the table or be with your kid. And you can't have both. You can have it all and then some. You can have it all and you haven't even scratched the surface of what's available for you.
How did you know you were dehydrated?
That's a good question. Like physically?
You said, I knew I was dehydrated and I knew I wanted the water. How did you know that you were dehydrated?
I knew I was dehydrated. I think this is so important, like having respect and appreciation for everything that's lined up to bring you right to where you are right now. If you can take that appreciation with you, it just takes you farther, faster. I was in this low ticket MLM. This woman told me to record my sorrows. It was a superfood company, this beautiful green drink that introduced me to the world of making residual income, but not on a level that was impacting my life fully. It was so niche, whatever specific, that I was like talking people into buying this all the time. We're dumping water into the green powder to activate it and made me feel really good. As my cells started to get restored, I started to then look at other aspects in terms of quality of my life. And is my water up to with this top shelf superfood that I'm promoting all the time? So I was like, good question. Could I feel even better? Can I
Right.
allow myself to even think that I could feel even better? And this business aspect that I'm sharing about, this is going to create time freedom and all this stuff. I hustled this business for 2+ years and it wasn't doing it yet. And I felt like I was on the top of my game. Everything they told me to do, I was doing, but for some reason it wasn't clicking. So if it's not clicking, you can either run the same program on a loop or you can take a step back and reevaluate and really get quiet and listen. So that's what I started to do. And that's why I knew I was dehydrated. I saw a post on Facebook and I had heard about this water years before, but I reached out to somebody and he flaked on us. It was me and a girlfriend. There's another single mom who now has one of these machines too. I knew I was dehydrated, but the first time I tried this water, it absorbed into my gums immediately. I was like, oh my gosh. More so, my daughter, who was 2 at the time, has always been a guide for me and activation. Motherhood is a trip like I never knew in terms of being a reflection of me, like a mini version of me, but at the same time with a heart wide open. We get to be spending our days together all day, every day. You get to look at me and be like, am I worthy of this? Or do I want more? She watched all sorts of horrific fights between me and my partner. She watched all sorts of things that I did to devalue who I was. When that water came into our lives, there was something about it that she was so obsessed with. And I already respected her from being pregnant and the birth and everything. Like she lit a fire of my intuition like I'd never experienced. And now I'm like 100x beyond that. She was the activation of my remembrance when she would bang on the fridge door and want the magic water. We knew nothing about the science. That was just something that this woman gave us in little jars in the fridge. If I'd have a glass of it, she would come running across the floor and try to grab it out of my hand. That's how I knew. My mom has always called me her high altitude Sherpa. And I really am thankful for her for seeing me and respecting me in that way. A lot of people are like, we're here to raise our kids and teach them the ways. I just see it so differently. Yes, we're here to provide a foundation for them and resources and support so they bring their gifts forward. I see that so much in her and I'm really thankful. She was the one who solidified it for me. And I was like, I don't care what this takes. We're going to get this water. And then the more that I drank the water, I realized I don't care what it takes. We're going to get this life. We're going to build this. I looked at other women who were doing this and I'm like, what's the difference between them and me? There's absolutely nothing. The power of your intuition, like that's really what we're here to do. To answer your question, the biggest struggles of this business, honoring the balance between the masculine and the feminine that lies within me.
How do you balance the structure of business with the flow of creativity and feminine energy?
Thank you for this question. I love this question. I feel like it's so important for everyone to ask this question for themselves and to just know that we are both inside and out. Both roles are very important. Both roles are to be respected and honored and appreciated and brought forth in their highest essence. So I have just recently come to the consciousness that the reason why, because a lot of people have asked me, why aren't you a life coach? Why aren't you like a business, off
You
on my
are.
own, creating courses? But I needed, especially as a single mom who was so in her masculine dominance, I take care of everything. Single moms listening to this, you have to do it all. There's no space for you to just rest and relax and be like, what do I feel like doing? It's like, okay, what do I feel like doing? But what do I have to do? I build the house and I put food on the table and I keep us safe at night. Where's the space for the feminine flow? When you align with a business structure, like we have a patented compensation plan, a patented business, it has allowed me to find such freedom in my femininity because the back end stuff, the structural stuff for the most part is taken care
There.
of. So when people are like, how did you build your business? I've had a hard time quantifying it because it's been such a remembering of my gift of intuition. I just talk to people that call. When I get a ping, I'm like, message her. Or when I get a ping, I make a post.
Ping is here,
But,
not
oh,
your ping on
yeah.
your phone, but your ping within you.
Yeah.
I also love what you said about how your daughter, she's your voice, right? She's your connection to source. You can look at her and listen to her and remember what your purpose is through what she sees through her eyes and delivered in a way that won't trigger you, like you said, or might, but that you recognize in the beginning, it was very much about how you were a single parent. You're not a single parent anymore. And you have another beautiful new baby whose father is your partner, your fiance, and you're raising her together. Know that even when you have a partner and the wisdom of some years behind you since you've had your first, you still need to find that balance. It's just a different balance. I don't think it's necessarily easier. It's just the next level of what you need to go through.
Yes, totally. Well said. Life doesn't give you what you necessarily want. It gives you what you need to grow, right? That's the quote. I've seen your story is wild. I hope you do a podcast where you share your whole story so we get a real vibe on who you are, not only as a mom of four, but everything that's led up to that moment and where you are in your life and producing the Hers Collective and everything. That's what we're here to do. My daughters are 8 years apart. I have an 8-month-old. Maybe they will have the opportunity to, live it fully in their gifts and share them freely. But we're the bridge realm. I know I'm a connector. I know I'm a bridge realm. I'm an opportunity for people to see what's possible and get a glimpse of that. I'm a co-parent. X and I do our best to put our daughters first. It's not the most amazing, fluid situation. But at the same time, I have the bliss bubble of this over here. I know I'm supposed to have both. I have the insight and the experience to bring other people through the fires that I've walked myself through. I see that so much in you. And that's such a gift to be able to exemplify that our kids activate within us. The reflection piece lies within community and sincere sisterhood. Really does allow us to question where we're at and where we want to go. And do we fully believe in ourselves and our worth enough to make moves towards it?
Definitely. So I was just thinking about how interesting it is that I'm finding that divine feminine. I'm reconnecting, remembering that divine feminine in a household filled with men and how important my sisters are for that reason. But also, I was afraid to have girls because of how uncomfortable it was for me to try to navigate it all. It's a different set of challenges that we face. But when we do it together and we realize that so many of us are doing it around the world, there is a connection that we've been taught to overlook. And here it is. Let's bring it back. So, what advice would you give to women who feel called to entrepreneurship but are afraid to take that leap?
I mean, this is such a heavy question, but in the
Yeah,
best way. I love what you said about being afraid to have girls. I was the same way because our culture was not set up, but I know we're seeing little inklings of the tides shifting. We're coming home to balance and harmony
mm,
within externally as a culture and recognizing the power in relationships where both parents are present and where both men and women are in harmony of their roles within the household, but also within ourselves too, to recognize that your masculine serves you a purpose and its empowerment just as much as your feminine does. The most important thing for you to recognize if you are looking at taking a leap, but you feel scared, is to take a look at your life and recognize where is there dominance in either role. Are you too feminine? Meaning, do you just fly by your intuition the entire time? But at the same time, you're so seasonal and you never have that solid place to land at the end of your day or the end of a season where you can ground in and hold yourself accountable? Or are you the other way where you're so OCD that you don't have any space in your life to get quiet and open up to that intuition and the feeling you have when you're doing this or that, or whether you're just not able to even feel like, where does it feel in your body? I'd mentors always ask me this. When you talk about this, does this bring you up against a situation in your life that you're working through? And they're like, where do you feel this in your body? First time I got asked, I'm like, what do you mean? This sucks. I don't feel it anywhere in my body. How can I get just a little bit of space so that I actually remember what it feels like when I get a ping, when I get that intuitive, ooh, yes. Where is the gap? Is the gap on your masculine side or is it on your feminine side? This is nothing that I would have said a year ago, but I think this is so on the tip of everyone's tongue right now because we're seeing the shift of the tides. We're seeing people recognize that the way we've been doing things, whether it was hyper feminine or hyper masculine, was out of balance. We're here to restore, return to origin, return to the balance and the harmony, the yin and yang that lies within you just as
Why do
much
you
as it
say
does
return to
outside.
origin? Will you share why you just said
Yeah,
return to origin?
absolutely. Let's do a couple parts about this. So this incredible water that has been the activation for us even connecting here on this podcast, it is molecular hydrogen water, rich in hydrogen. Function in the body is to restore homeostasis, a scientific term for balance in the body. So if you have too much acidity or you have too much alkalinity, stress, food, air quality, water quality creates acidity in the body. And that's what is the trigger for disease and discomfort. So hydrogen's main function, this water's main function in the body is to neutralize the free radicals. It goes through your body on a level of what's the most reactive, what's the most acidic thing, and it neutralizes that. So it brings homeostasis to your body. This specific water is called Kangen water. And Kangen literally translates in Japanese. It's a 51-year-old Japanese company to return to origin. So that's what we're doing with this water, but also when the way in which this business model is structured, it restores harmony and balance to our ability to create resources. And I have been making over 6 figures from my phone around my daughter, and I can do it after she goes to sleep. So I get the ability to be present and I also get the ability to provide. So I have the capabilities to be with her fully as her mom, give her the things that even my hormones know. Like when she cries, I can be right there. I'm not stripped of that because I'm so in my masculine, but then we don't have a roof over our head because I'm not able to pay my mortgage or my rent or whatever. So within the business model, it has that as well. But then further, it has it in the way that we are building these businesses. While you can build this all on your own, the people that go farther and are in this for the infinite game are those that learn to build within communities, learn how to magnetize their people to them, learn how to lead people through their own process as we've led ourselves. So return to origin is why it's named that. And people think it's just for the water, but it is multifaceted as much as we are. And that's important.
Okay, so that was the first part. You said there are three parts.
That's it. Health, community. Community has connection and wealth has resources. Once you take the money equation away, which is so wild to even say this, because now I have bigger dreams that I'm still basing on like what I can afford. But when you start to take away the baseline stress around survival of your resources, I'm making decisions based off what I can afford versus what I feel good about. Then you start to calm your body, your nervous system in such a way that allows that intuition to come forth even more. That's another homecoming, right? But I also have the structure, accountability within myself. That's the masculine of like, I get shit done. My empowered masculine's like, I see it, I want it, I'm going to get it done. My feminine side is, okay, let's feel into the way that this is going to get done.
Totally.
Because that's the roadmap. So I have both sides totally open and activated and working in their roles. That's the practice, but that's what this business provides. That's the foundation of why this works and why it's such a return to origin.
Amazing. Needing to be both parents, basically, because you had her most of the time. But you're the mother. We create that structure for our children. What's left? Given the structure that is supporting us, we then have the framework to be heart led. I'll tell you, for me, remembering that, that's who we are. Yet we have literally been stripped of that. The irony of activating who we actually are, who we've always been, and bringing that soul back is the gift that this brings, or it's brought me. There aren't enough words to express that. And sometimes I find that frustrating because we want everybody to have what we have. It's like somebody compared it to a chocolate chip cookie recipe, which is really basic, or maybe a ooey gooey blondie protein recipe. It's like, how can you not share it? But we remember that we can't share with someone who isn't ready for it or isn't interested in it. And that's okay.
Almost the best part.
That's how we continue to build community, being women who have always been inclusive. Initially, to me, that felt exclusive, and it's not. It's opening a door, making space for the people that are looking for it, and creating boundaries, learning how to do that through this business has been one of, if not the biggest gift in my life, because I'm able to better show up for the people who are my tribe.
You said so much there. I love hearing this from you. I'm honored to receive it and enjoy what you're saying. You're a hardworking mama. I remember we're getting ready for this trip to Vegas for this business, and you're sharing with me your outfits. You're like, 2 of your outfits. I was like, I haven't even thought about this. Oh my gosh, I can't even like, what? Oh yeah, outfit, like dressing. Oh, we're dressing. You sent me screenshots of you had it all laid out. So you're very structured, have it all designed. But at the same time, you're playing with colors and jewelry and shoes, and it's all laid out. This is beautiful layout. And I'm just like, this is so fun. Life should be a celebration. Where do we have space within our structured life to actually play? That was an example to me of you representing exactly what we're talking about. We're getting it done. We're going to meet up, but can we play while we do this?
We're creators. So there are so many ways to create. What are we creating? What is filling my cup? Again, the primary nutrition, the lives, all of these things that for most of my life, I think I didn't realize served a really important purpose. They were annoying, they were in the way, as opposed to, wow, what an opportunity. It's so expansive. It opens up. It makes life more fun.
If they're off balance, we're out of alignment, we're out of whack, we're feeling weird. We're wondering, is this all there is to life? Just going to work to pay the bills? Or we're just out in airy fairyland, just creating, but then we don't have food in the fridge. So it's like you got to have both. And that's on a very basic level of representation. There's an itch in your soul for creation, whether you're a man or a woman. If you are within the right support system that reminds you of who you are and gives you the structure to provide resources for yourself, then you start to unlock a piece of yourself that you might not even know is there. But to take that big leap, you have to understand be, do, have, right? You want to keep doing the same old thing, you're going to get the same old thing. How do you get to the next level? People are always like, how do I get to where you are? You have to be in the energy of who you want to be in order to have the stuff that you want. What are you doing on such a micro level that's providing either that masculine structure, whether you're holding yourself accountable to a checklist of stuff that you're checking off in order to run a business, or are in your femininity where you give yourself space in the day? What would you do if time was no construct and money was not a thing? Just to even try that on a little bit so that your subconscious brain can be like, oh, this is what this feels like. Start to repattern from there. People think, you're not telling me to take out a loan to start this business. No, I'm telling you to be that person that you know you are so that you can start to remember. Like it'll trigger.
Those are the details. We're not
The
focusing on the details because there's trust, because we remember who we are and we trust that it's all connected. You and I were both fortunate enough to have the experience of low ticket MLM and following what these leaders were doing, but it wasn't in the details. I can look at your life and say, this is what I want. What exactly do I want? What is it that I desire? And what is standing in my way? It resonates in a different way with me right now. What you said in the beginning, looking at the masculine and the feminine, what's missing? If we're stuck, we're not looking at a big picture. That's a lesson I've learned recently. If I feel stuck, like I'm not going anywhere, get off the treadmill.
get out of your thinking brain, get out of your head and into your heart if you're stuck. That's because that's a societal condition to keep us in our thinking brain.
If you could leave listeners with one message about embracing their power and their purpose, what would it be?
Your shame is obviously a source of your greatest power. Everything that you've ever been through in your entire life is completely prepared you for the awakening that is available to you right now. Give yourself the freedom and opportunity to dip into the sauce that is the juiciness of the life that you want to live. Give yourself a taste of what that feels like. You'll find the answers there. When you ask yourself the toughest questions that you're most afraid of asking yourself right now, the answers within that question of where you want to go next and how you can actually do this. We're not meant to do this alone. I'm not here to deliver a message of go do that by yourself. Make sure you're tuning in with people who make you feel good because they'll have the answers for you. They'll give you the reflection that is required to activate you, be the person and have the things and do the things that are required to get them. So that power of community is a constant activation. If you're watching this, Susan, tune in with her messages and watch her. She is an activation. You don't have to know how, you just need to know what.
You have to be around the right people. That's really what you said in the beginning. The reason you are where you are is because you had a trusted friend say to you, what are you doing? Your phone keeps ringing. It's the same person. Maybe looking into what she has to say is the answer you're looking for.
Anyone can be that reflection for you. Like that woman went on to make a live with her sister about me that said that like I was a poor leader in the MLM we were in. She bashed me all over social media, but it doesn't matter because I know that anyone who might trigger me, there's something there for me to dissolve. First of all, she didn't trigger me in that moment, but just being open and receptive to all the messages that cross your path and put your hand on your heart when someone says something to you. You know, if you really want to hear something, ask somebody a question, put your hand on your heart, get into this practice, be like, is this true for me? Is this resonance? Is this something that scares the crap out of me? Does it scare the crap out of me because it's true?
Could this just be a bridge to the next step? Maybe it's not about this person, this relationship, this job. Maybe it's just the next step. It's what needs to happen in order for me to connect what I know is out there and bring it back to my life.
Yeah. It'll probably be a new feeling, but it's always been there. We're just peeling back the layers.
Thank
You need
you.
to talk about how we didn't know each other. This is the power of your intuition, just following the breadcrumbs of listening to your intuition. Your story is so powerful, and I'm so thankful you're in my life.
Was working with somebody else. And Sarah said, you don't need to be a sale. You can just join us. That was what I was looking for. I knew I could learn what I needed to learn. I knew that it would be an exchange, which is what this is all about, right? I can picture the light around it. There was no question. I just was like, no, I'm going to make it work. Here we are.
I hope everyone really absorbs that. Here we are. I didn't think about it. Yeah, just thinking or feeling.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat aloha. I love you so much.
I wish I was there with you. I wish I was there with you for so many reasons. I need to hold your baby.
In San Diego, you will.
Okay.
We'll see. I can't wait to see everything you have blossoming and blooming with Baya.
Thank you. It's really exciting. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm still talking in the microphone because it feels really cool.
You are so cool. You're my hero.
Look at you. It's mutual.
Can you hear?
Hey.
Hi. Oh, hi, darling. Hi, mama. I can't believe it. I thought that she was just Issa, but there's something about her daddy in there.
Oh, completely. That's her twin. Look at this.
You should see me when I was
Seriously? I need a picture. Love you so much. Naked baby. I love you both. I'm very excited about this, Annie. I'm so grateful.
I love you so much.
Love you all.